Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Sin City TV. Come watch TV with me. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Sin City TV. Get on in here and come yap and rant about Yellowjackets season 1 with me. So now that Yellowjackets is off for the season, hopefully waiting for a season 4 renewal announcement, fingers crossed, I have been rewatching because I'm obsessed, as you all may know. I've been rewatching and I've been wanting to throw out some more Yellowjacket centered content on my platform because it is a show that I am very passionate about, and I didn't start watching in real time until this past season, season 3. I caught up before season 3 aired. So I'm kind of new to the fandom. So I want to rewatch and then get on here and just throw out my random thoughts and opinions about what happens throughout the show. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about season 1. I'm going to be breaking these videos up as well because Yellowjackets is such a chock full show. So much goes on because we're going back and forth between 2 different timelines. It's just so much to talk about. So in this video, I'm going to focus on the teen timeline and talk about some things from season 1 that I want to kind of deep dive into and discuss with y'all. Then, of course, I'm going to follow up with the adult timeline from season 1, and I'm going to do the same thing for season 2. And then for season 3, I'm thinking about compiling all of my videos, my recap videos that I did for season 3 while the show was airing, and I'm just putting it all together and throwing it up on YouTube for anybody to come and watch and see, just to have it up there. Because I have them all on my TikTok, but I'm going to comprise them all for a YouTube video. So boom, Yellowjackets is the kind of show that gets you from the very start. Moment 1, we get pit girl scene. From the very second the show opens, you're captivated by a scene of a young girl, you don't know who it is, running through a snowy wilderness, okay, and landing in a pit full of sticks and dying. Immediately, I'm like, what is going on? What is this? What am I watching? Then as episode 1 goes on and on and on. See, episode 1 is what made me want to watch the show originally, because I watched episode 1 when season 1 was airing, but I didn't have the subscription for Showtime, so they only let me watch the first episode, and I wasn't finna pay for no more. So after I watched the first episode, I was pissed because I was like, what is? I want to see what else happens, which is why I waited. And eventually, when I decided I wanted to start making content, I was like, I got to pay for the damn subscription. So here I am. But one of my most favorite things about Yellowjackets is that all of our main characters, they were all going through something before that plane even crashed. Like, they all had issues before the plane even crashed. They all were doomed. Okay, not necessarily doomed, but they all had some shit going on. All of them, okay? Lottie was obviously had some mental health issues. She was on her medication, okay? Seemed like she was kind of neglected by her parents a little bit. I kind of got that vibe that she might have been a kind of kid that was raised by the help, you know what I mean? Nannies and maids and things of that nature, because her parents didn't seem to be very active in her life. Then you got Taissa, an overachiever to the point where she hurt someone. Like, that's a dangerous level of wanting to be perfect. It's very dangerous. And that is something up here. The wires are not wired right, okay? The elevator don't go to the top when you have that level of competitiveness inside of you that you are willing. I don't think she meant to hurt her. Don't misunderstand me. I don't think she was like, yeah, I'm gonna go break her leg. But she was willing to be that rough with her to teach her a lesson, or to get her to play harder, to play at the same level as them. That's a very dangerous level of competitive behavior. Like, she's on the team. Like, y'all could have had a powwow. Y'all could have had a meeting. Okay, she could have went to the coach and like, hey, yo, coach, for nationals, we need to make sure our best players is on the field. But no, Ty said, I'm going to take matters into my own hands. Ty was just not right. And also, let's add into the stuff that we know because of what happens later. She, her identity, she's having identity issues because she's very much a lesbian. But she wants to seem perfect. So nobody knows that. And she's hiding that part of herself. Can you imagine how hard and frustrating it has to be a perfectionist and be hiding who you are? For real, for real. Poor Taissa. Child. And then you got Van. Van, my favorite character. Let us not mistake my favorite, okay? Van, who seems just from the outside like she's so happy, so put together. She's funny, she's cheerful, she's full of life. Meanwhile, she got a drunk for a mama who she pretty much got to take care of. That's the vibe you get, that Van raises herself. Van takes care of her mom. Van is the reason why the lights stay on. Van is the reason, waking her mama up to make sure she go to work. We got bills to pay. You know what I mean? Her home life was trash. Can you imagine the kind of childhood trauma that she probably had experienced up to that point? Okay? She ain't right. And she uses her laughter and jokes and her joy to cover up and mask all that other stuff that she got going on. My poor baby. Don't get me started on little Miss Shauna. Shauna is hands down the most complex character in this whole entire show. Love her or hate her. Feel however you feel about her. She is the most complex character in the whole show. There are so many layers and traumatic responses that are woven into Shauna from the very moment we meet her. Her jealousy, her need for attention, her need for love, her feeling like she was in Jackie's shadow. Shauna was, it's a lot. It's a lot to unpack there. Okay. And I'm not very good at articulating myself. I say that in almost all my videos because I'm really not. But yeah, let me try to unpack Shauna for y'all a little bit. Shauna was the type of person who was not 100% comfortable and confident in who she was as a person and herself, but was best friends with somebody who did on the outside exude that confidence and that fearlessness that Shauna probably wishes that she had. Jackie had that, okay? And Shauna admired that, envied that, wanted some of that for herself. So anything that Jackie had, Shauna had to have too. That's the kind of person that Shauna was, including her man, okay? There was also a level of unworthiness that Shauna carries. A level of feeling like she was unloved, which is why when her and Jeff was hooking up in the car, she's like, just tell me you love me, you ain't got to mean it. I just want to hear it. She wanted him, okay? The wilderness changed her in ways that were even more detrimental to her person because it just made all of those problems magnify. Does that make sense? Anyway, Shauna, the most complex character in the whole show, no matter how you feel about it. Good old Misty Mick. Good old Misty. Misty just wanted some friends, okay? Misty was that weird girl who just wanted friends and would do whatever it took to get them, okay? Misty just wanted to be part of the team. She just wanted to be Yellowjacket. She just wanted to be Yellowjacket. And she was annoying. She was weird. And she's also... Misty's like one of those kids that you look back on and later on realize that they had the makings of a serial killer. Misty ass crazy. Okay, Misty ass is crazy. Point blank, the period. Misty don't have all her marbles. A sociopath, if you will. So yeah, none of them had good mental health before the plane crashed. So that was one of the main reasons why I loved the show so much, because it's like, wow, what trauma will do to you when you're already unwell. Okay? Those poor girls never had a chance after that plane crashed, whether they got rescued or not. Do I think things may have been a little better if they wasn't out there for 18 months? Maybe so. But them girls, they were doomed from the start. So boom, they're already unwell. The plane crashes. One thing that also really intrigued me in season 1 was the Misty of it all. Like how when the plane crashed, she was very proactive in kind of triaging the situation because she sociopath. She knew what to do. She knew what to do. She knew how to handle the injuries, and she was just making the hard decisions. And she liked the feeling of everybody needing her. She liked the feeling of everybody coming to her, asking her, what should we do? What should we do? Because these girls don't like her in real life. And it's so crazy to have that kind of power as a person who just wants to be liked. Because what leads you then in your mind to say, let me destroy this one piece of equipment that could save us and get us home? What in your mind would make you do that as a sane person? Somebody who ain't sane. Also, after the plane crashes, we see, of course, Misty had a chop off Ben leg. We see Lottie's checking her medication to see how much she has. Not much. She don't got that much meds left. Okay, and who knows how long they're going to be stranded out here. We also kind of get one of the first instances of Van and her grapple with death. She almost got left on the plane to burn up because she was stuck and she couldn't get out. Shauna tried to get her out. Jackie was like, nah, Shauna, we gotta go. We gotta dip. And they end up leaving Van on the plane. Somehow she gets out. And that was kind of like the first face off between Van and good old death. I forgot to touch on Natalie when I was talking about our survivors. I'm so sorry, Nat. I'm so sorry. But yeah, before that plane crashed, Nat's home life, what she had to do to her father, if you know, you know. Just the drugs, the alcohol. Nat was already grappling with a lot. Nat was already dealing with so much. And then to be stuck in the wilderness. But what I love about Nat is even though she was going through all of that, at her core, Nat was a good person. Nat cared about people, and Nat cared about doing the right thing. I love that about Natalie. That's one of my favorite things about her character, is you would assume because of her lifestyle and the way that she presents that she's a bitch, that she's a person who doesn't care about life, doesn't care about anything. Natalie cares very deeply about everybody, and I love that. Nat and Travis end up forming this trauma bond out there in the wilderness because they're the two hunters. And they formulate a relationship. They form a bond that is very much rooted in trauma. And we all know that trauma bonds are the worst bonds to have with anybody. You're supposed to run from trauma bonds, okay? And Natalie and Travis, and my favorites, Van and Taissa, had a trauma bond. Doomed from the start, okay? But I love Taissa and Van very much, and all the trauma that came with them. Those are my babies. One of the main plot points out there in the wilderness was Shauna's pregnancy. Pregnant by her best friend Jackie's boyfriend in the woods. And they were out there for 18 months. So that's a little hindsight for you. We also learn during those first couple of months out there that Taissa is like sleepwalking. And she has like this altar that kind of comes out when she sleepwalks. We all know about Other Ty, and that's where we meet her in the wilderness. I don't know if Taissa ever had those sleepwalking issues prior to being stranded in the wilderness, but we also have the theories that, you know, her altar gets summoned by stress and by situations that Taissa can't control, because Taissa likes to be in control. She likes to have control over everything. So when she doesn't, I think Tawny, the actress who plays Taissa, adult Taissa, had mentioned this before, that she needs someone else to put the blame on if something goes wrong, which is why she created this other altar so that Taissa doesn't have to take responsibility for anything, because she's so obsessed with having control. And when she doesn't, she needs somebody else to put the blame on. And that's kind of where this other altar comes from. And I love that we got introduced to the man with no eyes and this supernatural element to the show to kind of make the audience feel like there was something supernatural about the show. When in all reality, it's just these girls and their brains and their trauma. Because we learn later on in season 3, that I'll touch more on when we get to those reviews, that the man with no eyes is literally just Taissa's trauma response to death because of when her grandmother passed. And the commercial that she used to watch and all of that stuff. It's all just a trauma bond. It's all a trauma response. I'm sorry, trauma response, not trauma bond. It's a trauma response. This man with no eyes was never a vision or an entity that she was seeing out there in the wilderness. It was literally her brain. Then my girl Van battles with death again when she gets mauled by a wolf. Mauled by a wolf took my whole baby face off. Okay. The girls end up saving her, stitching her face together. Akila did a beautiful job getting her back right. And now Van has these noticeable scars on her face that I think impact her very deeply in the adult version of herself, because she was the only person who went back to real life with visible evidence on her being of what they went through out there. And I think that might have had a big impact on adult Van, and why the shift in those two characters, well, that the same character, but those two versions of the character is so different, because adult Van is nowhere near as light, carefree, fun, and just light as her younger self was. And I feel like it had a lot to do with because of maybe the way she was treated when she got home. Meanwhile, Jackie done read Shauna's diary, and she knows who the baby daddy is. She knows that Shauna been hunching on her man. She know, and she being real passive aggressive about it too. She ain't saying nothing, but she is throwing little subtle hints and clues like, yes, sis, I know. So Jackie finally ends up telling Shauna that she knows, and they have this big old argument, and Jackie ends up pretty much being like, you know what? I'm done with all of y'all. I'm going to sleep outside. So she goes to sleep outside, and in the midst of her being out there, it's already cold, but it starts to snow. I'm assuming Good Sis fell asleep, got hypothermia, did not know that it was snowing, and passed away that way. I don't think that she knew that it was snowing. I think if she knew, she would have went back inside. I think she already fell asleep before it started snowing, and she ends up dying out there in the snow. And I think that's how season 1 ends. In the teen timeline, at least. I'm going to talk about the adult timeline in another video, but in the teen timeline, I think that's how season 1 ends. And I think I pretty much hit all the major plot points. There's a lot of other small stuff, of course, that happened. The teen timelines are not my favorite to talk about. I'm way more invested in the adult timeline. So that video is going to be way more of me just talking about these characters, because I'm way more invested in them as adults than I am in them as teenagers. So I believe I hit all the major plot points from season 1 that I care to hit, at least. If I haven't, please tap into the comments, throw me some, let's chit chat, let's talk about season 1, the teen timeline, and then I'll be posting the adult timeline after this. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, like, show it to your friends, show it to your mama. Let's get the buzz going, so hopefully we can get a season 4 renewal. Please. I need that. I need that.